Following the Goulburn River, starting at Tallarook and travelling along Upper Goulburn Road, you will start to see the remnants of a rail line. The biggest piece of evidence is the rail trail parallel to the road. This rail trail is following the former Mansfield rail line. And in this week's video, we will be covering the Mansfield line's history, accidents, rolling stock, services, some stations along the line, where it is today, and will services resume. History. The Mansfield line was opened in a staggering 6 stages, starting in November of 1883, reaching Mansfield in October of 1891. At its full length, the line was 121 kilometers in length, which is relatively short for a 6-stage rail line. For example, the Mildura line opened in 7 stages, not including the section to Yalta, and is 444 kilometers, starting at Ballarat. The first stage of the branch line branched off the northeast line at Tallarook. From Tallarook to Yee in 1883, although land surveys started in 1882, in 1889 to 1891, the line was slowly extended a few more stations at a time. From Yee to Molesworth in November 1889, Molesworth to Cathkin in June of 1890, Cathkin to Main Dample in May 1891, and finally Main Dample to Mansfield in October 1891. The first train was hauled by a W class, with 2,000 onlookers, with a slight 15-minute delay. In 1901, a small 7-kilometer branch line was built from Cathkin to Alexandra. The first section of the line from Tallarook to Yee was built at a cost of £97,637, around 20 million today, and over 1,000 men took on the project. The first train from Tallarook to Yee arrived in the platforms on the 20th of November 1883. Initially, the return Tallarook to Yee rail service was a daily mix until the introduction of rail motors. The line was built as a result of developments in that area, and some extra land farmers could use for agriculture. The line was built in a cutting conveniently made by the Goulburn River, after centuries of erosion and decay. The line was also said to be very scenic. One of the reasons was that it included a 200-meter tunnel near Cheviot, and a viaduct over Lake Eildon in Bonnydoon, which was rebuilt in 1955. Due to coal shortages during the war, services were cut by half, with morning trains completely removed. This arrangement continued until rail motors were introduced in 1949. The track speed was 60 kilometers per hour, and the line had 17 stations. Skipping a couple of decades or so, by the mid-70s, track beyond Yee had deteriorated severely. After March of 77, most passenger services were taken over by road, and the last regularly scheduled passenger service to Mansfield was on the 28th of May 1977, operated by Walker 91RM, which was replaced by a bus service via Yarra Glen and then rerouted to Whittlesea Road. The line was closed to all traffic on the 8th of November 1978. The last train was hauled by Y158 and departed Yee at 6:30 p.m. on Monday, the 6th of the 11th, 1978. Yee was never visited by another train again. Unfortunately, VR quickly dismantled the line following closure, preventing any chance of a tourist railway opening, despite some interest being shown. Good job, VR, really winning our hearts. Many bridges were also removed, with the piers oddly sticking out of the ground. Now you may be wondering, that's it, the line will never transport passengers again. Well, not exactly. The entire stretch of the line was converted to the Great Victorian Rail Trail. Accidents. Ready Creek, late 20s. In the morning, a down Melbourne train crossed the Ready Creek Bridge. Subsequently, an inland tsunami came rushing down the creek. The DD class locomotive hauling the train managed to squeak across the bridge with the goods wagons stranded dead center in the middle, and thankfully the passenger wagons stuck on the Tallarook side. The goods wagons were swept clean off. There was an effort to get the attention of the driver, but the locals' efforts were in vain. After the incident, the bridge was replaced. Rolling stock. Back before 1924, when the W class, R class, and DD classes were in the service, the line would be served by them, until the K class took over, all the way until Operation Phoenix, when they were helped out by the J class and rail motors, such as the Walker and Derms. Services. In 1905, a morning return ran every day, with a varied timetable on Thursdays. In 1928, just like 1905, a morning return ran every day. However, trains to Mansfield ran on a varied timetable on Wednesdays and Thursdays. An extra service also ran to Yee on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. But returns ran on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. In 1954, a morning return ran every day, with a varied timetable on Saturdays. In 1967, a return train ran every day, with varied timetables on Fridays and Saturdays. However, return trains ran on the same timetable. In 1975, one train ran each day, with a varied timetable on Fridays. Some stations along the line. Yee. Yee was opened in 1883. A refreshment room was provided at the station in 1891, and the platform was shortened by 6 meters in 1976, from 91.5 meters to 85.5 meters. It was closed in 1978. The tracks have since been removed, and the reserve has been turned into a park. Around 5 hectares of parkland. The former station was turned into a crafts shop, and the former goods shed is available for hire. Mansfield. Mansfield was opened in 1891. The station building is an average station design from that era, and currently it serves as a visitor center. Mansfield closed in 1978. The lack of maintenance forced the station yard to have restricted speed. The goods shed now bears a danger, unstable structure, do not enter sign. Something tells me we shouldn't enter it. The land reserve was later used as the Maroondah Highway realignment and the Great Victorian Rail Trail. Where is it today? Today, the Mansfield line survives as the Great Victorian Rail Trail. It's a 134 kilometer long rail trail, which is the second longest in Australia. It's paved with granite sand and chert. The highest point is Merton Gap, which is 400 meters above sea level. Unfortunately, out of the 17 stations built, 6 goods sheds survive, 3 platforms survive, and 2 of them have station buildings on them. Trail walkers share the entire path, except for horses, where there are some separated sections for them to go. Not the Mansfield line, but close enough. The Alexandra line also has a timber tramway museum. There's also plenty of wildlife all over the trail. Wheel services resume. If you've watched any of my previous Forgotten Rail Line series, then you know the answer already. Here's the simplified version of that. There isn't enough demand, and the government ain't getting rid of a rail trail. But, as stated previously, the line is very scenic, and preservationists were interested in it. So, a tourist railway could work, despite the fact that no tracks survive. A tourist railway there would definitely be interesting though. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you liked this video about the Mansfield line. If you have any suggestions on what line I should do next, then leave a comment below. If not, like and subscribe, and I'll see you later.